cotton twill check, heat transfer vinyl check, hairstyle for motivation check. I think we can get started. Welcome to Cosplayland. I am Alice and today I'm going to show you how I made my Sea Breeze Dandelion shorts from the game Genshin Impact. It is currently summer and the weather is very nice, so I thought a summery cosplay was the thing I needed to do right now, and that's what we are going to be doing today. I already have all my fabrics. I actually put a video together with all the materials I'm going to be using, but I'll just walk you through the ones I'm using today just for the shorts, including the heat vinyl transfer, and I'm going to be using also a new machine that I got for heat vinyl, which is this one, so it's going to help me. It's a portable heat press and I'm going to use these to put the drawings on the shorts as well. Before I start, there is a part which took me the longest part, which I did not record, which is how I actually made the pattern from scratch. You can actually download the pattern so you can just avoid all this misery of trying and trying again. But basically, before I started with the shorts, I had to make sure I had a pattern that fit me and had the right measurements and the position of all the details. So what I did, I created a pattern from scratch and I made several trials. The first one was my just base trousers, so I had to make a sloper for the trouser, try it on. It was slightly big, so I decided to try another one with the smaller size this time. That's when I made this one, which was slightly too tight because I just overdid it a little bit, and then I had to just change and make a couple of adjustments to this one as well. And then finally I went to my third mock-up, which was this one, but still it's not perfect, so it needs a few adjustments, and those are going to be on the last pattern, which is the one I'm going to be doing today. And I'm going to show you all the process. Literally making all these mock-ups and making this from scratch took me a week and a half, but you can just avoid all that and just download the pattern directly, because I'm going to put a link below with the pattern that I did make in several sizes, so you can just avoid all these. And then I'll show you how to put all the things together today on my shorts tutorial, so let's get started. First of all, I started with the pattern. I just had to assemble the pieces, put them together. I just printed them in my normal printer, and I'm gonna put them on top of my fabric just to be able to trace them. In the end, I went for this white crepe fabric because I thought it was lighter and it would be more comfortable to wear, but you can just use twill or any other like thicker fabric. Then what I did was adding seams to my patterns, because mine come without seams, so you can adjust them and move them and do whatever you need to do with them without having to figure out how many inches extra did I add or not add to them. So I find it much easier to have my patterns without seams and adding them later on, and that way if I need to adjust anything, it's just very simple. So just went ahead and traced all the patterns with a transparent ruler because it's easier to see. When I had all the pieces traced, I used my rotary cutter, which is very useful for slipper fabric. Like this one is crepe, so it moved quite a bit. I'm actually quite new to this, so I went back to my trustworthy scissors because it's just like sometimes much easier to go through the fabric. But I'm definitely trying to improve my skills with the rotary tool because it's very useful. I was a bit concerned that my pocket was going to be see-through, so I just decided to just fake it. So I only cut a little piece of fabric on blue, slightly bigger than the sign on the pattern marked in grey. That's where it's actually showing, or where it's actually going to be showing the blue part. So made it a little bit bigger, so when you are just walking, if it opens, you can still see the blue. But just cut this part, which I will then just place on top of the normal pocket, just on that side. So I will still have my normal pocket and the blue piece on top, just to see a little bit, but not the whole thing. I also searched the edge of my blue fabric to make sure that it wouldn't frill while I was wearing it, and literally just placed it on top of the normal pocket, just made in white, and just top stitched it, just like that. Now, sewing the pocket may look like magic, but in truth it's actually quite simple. You just have to just place the front right side up, and then you're gonna get your pocket, and with the part which is visible facing the other right side, like this, you just have to sew that part over there. Quite simple. Now you just have to open the seam and press it on the right position. You see, that's how it looks when the pocket is folded correctly. And here's a little tip. When you are folding your fabric, just make sure that the front is just slightly bigger than the actual lining, so you won't be able to see anything at all. Then you stop stitch that in place so it doesn't move anymore, and we are ready to assemble your patterns normally. I stitched together the two parts of the front, and now I will have everything ready with just the front and just the back, like a normal pair of shorts. Stitch, stitch, stitch. Here I'm pinning the dots for the back part of my shorts. And more stitching. So tiring. Let's move on to the heat transfer vinyl, okay? I used my old Silhouette SD cutter just to print some of the design. Listen to its heavenly sound. Okay, enough. Now it's time to prepare the vinyl, so what you have to do is just take away the excess, all the parts that you don't need to glue, and then you'll have a lovely design, which is actually quite satisfying to get. Here you have my other helper. This is Melina, which definitely wanted to help me out with this process because it's so satisfying. Like, honestly, if you are stressed out, just try this. Well, except if you have a cat, that's gonna stress you out anyway, but nevertheless, this is the design, and it's quite easy just to pick some of the parts that are just extras and take them off one by one until you get just the lines for your design. Of course, you can just use the cutter instead if you don't have a machine like mine. As I am putting my pattern on another lapped seam, what I did was I just made my design slightly longer on both sides, so they are going to overlap when you sew that part. I marked with a pen that overlap so I knew exactly if I was doing it correctly before I put the parts together and I sew them. I bought a new tool for my collection, which is this heat press, which is quite handy, and I am using this to just attach the vinyl to my fabric. Even if you see me moving this fairly quickly, not really because this is like sped up, basically it takes like about 30 seconds between each movement of it, and then you just have to peel the plastic and voila! Now you just need to sew a few more parts and shorts will be practically done. Remember that if they don't line up at first, just try again before you sew it until you have it correctly. Like this one, I think that's pretty decent, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just sew this side, and then I will also sew the other side as well. This is so tiring. Now let's go and see how to sew a zipper. If you already know how to do this, just feel free to skip ahead because that's what I'm going to be doing next. You want to prepare your zipper first, so what I'm gonna do is just use my iron to move those teeth inwards, so it will be much easier to sew it when I am on the machine. With the zipper facing inwards, I'm just gonna attach it to one of the sides, and I'm going to change the foot of my machine. This is a foot specially designed for invisible zippers, and it's very cheap. It comes with most of machines. So So you just put it there, and it's almost like on its own it will do the thing, because it will just stitch correctly on the right place. Line it up and just do the same with the other side. And then you just have to sew the rest of the seam just at the crotch like that. Now I always prefer the top part and the bottom part of the zipper by hand, because it's just much easier. So if you had a long zipper, you can just cut the extra and just make sure you put some stitches in the middle of it so it doesn't open too much when you're wearing it. Now it's finally the time for the weird waistband. I'm using a quite thick interfacing because this is just gonna be at a very weird angle, so you want to make sure it's going to stand. And then I just sew all the parts first as a chain, because it's much quicker. You have the lining and you have the front part and you have all the pieces together now, and you just need to assemble them. My cat just decided to take a nap with my ironing board, so I just very carefully had to try and open those seams quite far away from her, because honestly I just couldn't be bothered mowing my hair anymore all day like that, honestly. Now you just have to just spin in place this waistband. This is a new method that I just found the other day, and I thought I would give it a go. And I first sew one part of the waistband, and while it was still there, I just sew the other part on top like that, so I will be able to turn it later and just make it stand correctly. And you can just finally attach the waistband by hand, which is my preferred method. And I did the hems as well, so that's it. This is the shorts done. I am in love with these shorts, like honestly, I really like them. I actually think I want to wear them like just for going out. And they have pockets, which is awesome, super useful. I still have to use a belt on them. This one is just elastic for now until I do the final one. And this is how they fit at the back. Could have been a bit smaller, but I kind of like the fit and they are super comfy. And it's great because you can just play Genshin Impact, and if you have to just take a selfie and a photo, just put your phone in the pocket. Amazing! So, are you hungry? No worries, just take a lollipop. Yeah, it's just an anemo slime flavor, your favorite. Do you want to take a photo with me? Of course, follow me on my social media networks. Here you are. This is my cat for you. Just the perfect shorts for summer. Totally happy with them. Did you like them? So that's it. I have finished the pants and now I'm ready to go for the next part. Remember that if you don't want to go through all the trouble of making your own pattern, you can just download this pattern on the link below. There's also patterns for the actual flowers and designs and everything goes first to my Patreon. Thank you so much, Rob and Pablo, which are my best supporters ever. Love you guys. I wouldn't be able to do anything without you. Remember, you can find more patterns on my Etsy shop if you are looking for cosplay patterns, and there are other things as well, like my cosplay planner, which is super useful and I've been using a lot. And other than that, just remember to like, comment and subscribe. It really makes my day whenever I see your comments and I get to read them and reply to all of them. So thank you very much for your support, and I will see you in the next part, which hopefully will be the blouse. I have already started patterning it and it should be out fairly soon. So keep tuned and see you next time. So this is how it goes, huh? Taking my chair.